Thank you for tuning in to the latest edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. Whether you're listening during your commute, while working out, or just relaxing at home, we appreciate you. Every download, every listen, and every subscription means a lot. Up next, the 12 Kyle podcast.
But I don't know anybody that actually likes the sound of their own voice.
It never sounds like you think it sounds.
No.
It never quite sounds as good as you think it sounds. And we, like, theoretically should be watching tape, like going back to listen to ourselves. I absolutely hate it. I can't do it. I just wait for Charlie to tell me what I need to work on, because listen to myself, you like pick out all the mistakes, and then also just the sound of it doesn't quite sound. It always sounds nasally, more nasally than I think I sound.
My voice is the money maker in a lot of ways, and it don't sound like it sounds right now. Like me, as I sit here, the outbound does not sound like what is going on when I'm here. It just doesn't. It is the wildest thing. Like, what I actually am now trying to imagine, because I know your voice, is what you think it sounds like. You know what I'm saying? Because it sounds fine to me. Sounds good, in fact, right?
Yeah.
I'd be curious to know what Billy D. Williams situation that you got going on in your own head that you think is trumping what you are offering us.
You know what? I can actually relate to what they just said. The two voices that you just heard, two of my favorite podcasters from the sports world, Bomani Jones, who has a podcast, The Right Time with Bomani Jones, and Dominique Foxworth. They were both talking about their voices, obviously. And I truly can relate. This may come as a surprise, but I'll be honest. It took me years to like this voice. I remember as a child, and this was probably like 78, 79. So I was, I don't know, 6 or 7 maybe. There was some type of reel to reel, I think. And my Uncle Ronnie, my late Uncle Ronnie, rest in peace, he recorded me and my cousins. And he recorded us talking. And that was the first time that I actually heard my voice on the playback. And I remember listening to it and I was like, who is that? Like I didn't just record just like 5 minutes ago myself. But it just sounded strange. Like, it didn't sound like I wanted it to sound, or how I probably thought I sounded to myself back then. And I went years and years without, hearing what I sounded like recorded, because I didn't record anything. I mean, this was the 80s and the 90s. Nobody recorded stuff. And then flash forward to by the time I got to college, I went to South Carolina State University, where I'm a proud alum, as you can see. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you for watching. Well, my major was marketing, right? My minor is in broadcasting. And one of my professors, Gil Harris, shout out to Gil Harris. I know he's still around, still kicking it. Gil Harris had us do voiceovers and working with tape and stuff like that. Because again, this is the old school. This is what, 94, 95, right? And so I graduated in 96. But long story short, you had to record yourself and you had to do like radio drops. And again, that was like the first time that I heard myself since I was young. And I was like, man, why do I sound like that? And listen, it took me, I despised the way that I sound, even though I felt like I sounded cool. Like I felt like I sounded okay. But it just didn't come across the same way on record, on tape. And so you fast forward to 2010, January of 2010, I come with this idea after playing around. I decide to have my own radio show on Blog Talk Radio. It was called the 12 Radio Show. And I did that. I did a live show for 5 straight years. It was every Wednesday night from 9 to 11. I take live call-ins, and it's 2-hour show, no breaks, no commercial, no nothing. And I was rocking. And I just remember, it was funny because like I actually used a landline phone to make, the show or whatever. but it was through a computer. And I just remember like listening to the playback. I was like, ugh, why do I sound like this? Like I did not like the way I sounded. And it probably wasn't until maybe 2 years into the 12 radio show that I was like, okay, I sound okay. And it's crazy because like there were people, fellow, compadres, I should say, fellow friends, who was like, yo, man, you got a dope voice. And I'm like, no, I don't. Like the way that it sounds to me and the way that it's disseminated through the microphone and through your speakers, I didn't like it. And so it took me a good 2 years before I really liked the way that and I know that sounds strange coming from someone who has a podcast. But now I'm cool. I don't like the fact that, I have over the last couple of years, I've had sinus issues. Once I turned 50, I started having sinus issues. I'm now 52 at the time of this recording. And so like to me, I sound nasally. Even when I don't sound nasally, I think I sound nasally. But it's because I've been hearing my voice all this time. So the voice has grown on me. It's kind of weird to say that though. Like it's because here's the thing, as a podcaster, you should listen to your podcast. Like I remember one time I recorded an episode and I was playing it back in the car, and my oldest son was like, Dad, why are you listening to your podcast? I was like, why not? Like you need to know what it sounds like. And there's certain things that happen throughout each episode. There's certain mistakes that you make sometimes. You may stumble on a word or something. I don't take anything out. I don't cut anything. I don't edit anything. If I mess up a word, I mess up a word. I'm human, right? But, I want it to look and feel a certain way. But your voice is your voice. And I remember distinctly, like, I wanted my voice to be just a little bit. There was one episode I was recording, right? And I wanted my voice to be lower than it is. So let's say if my voice is a 7, I wanted it to be a 10. And the only way that you could do that was to record early in the morning when your vocal cords aren't as strong and your voice is lower. I don't know if it's like this for most people. It's like this for me. It ain't that much lower, but it's lower. And so I was actually recording an episode. The episode, what was that? Saturday? It was the Saturday series. It was the thing called a Saturday series. And I was doing this for a fellow podcaster. He was going to put it on his podcast. So this episode wasn't even going to appear on my podcast. But it was called a Saturday series. And I may put it on this podcast one day. But I distinctly remember I went to bed. I got up the next morning. And when I got up, I didn't say nothing to nobody. I went in the bathroom, brushed my teeth, and I came downstairs and I closed the door and I started recording. Like I didn't say good morning or nothing like that because I wanted my voice to be like low and raspy. I wanted to sound like Jadakiss. It doesn't sound raspy, but if you hear the episode, you'll hear there's a difference in my voice is definitely lower. But like that was one of the times like I was really, really excited because I felt like I changed my voice. And that's the only time. I mean, like, I don't necessarily know what y'all hear because what y'all hear and what I hear are two different things. You're listening to this podcast. You may be watching on YouTube. Thank you for watching. You might really, really like what you hear. I don't dislike my voice. I think it's a decent voice, but I mean, like I've gotten compliments on it, but I don't have like I don't have the radio voice that you may think I do. I think I just got a regular voice. There's some people who have I'm very big on sound. So how it sounds means something to me. And I'm very observant for people who I try, especially when I'm listening to someone who I don't know personally. I try to guess like whether like I can pick up on your accent and tell like where you might be from, based on some words that you say. And I've done that for a long time, and I actually really like doing it, particularly when I'm listening to podcasts from people who I don't know. Because here's the thing, we all have an accent. Now, I don't think I have an accent. Well, actually, I do have an accent, but I don't think I have, like, I'll give you an example. Like, people ask, like, where you're from. And I'll say, I'm from South Carolina. It was like, well, but you from Atlanta, right? No, I'm not from Atlanta. I live in Atlanta. I've lived in Atlanta, almost 27 years now. But even being here, I don't have an Atlanta accent. I think I still have a South Carolina accent. And people will listen and say, oh, you don't sound like you're from South Carolina. But I think I do. But here's the thing. When I listen to other people, like, I know, like, you could listen to BTG for President from my boy Baylor, and Uncle Dolomite, Too Much Game. Very, very distinct California, LA sound, but they sound different. The two of them sound differently, but you could tell that they're from LA because they have the traditional LA sound. Autumn the Aries, from the Lit Life podcast. Autumn has, and I told her this, Autumn probably has one of the best voices. Like, she truly has a radio voice. But Autumn be dragging her heels on her podcast. I was like, Autumn, man, we need more episodes. In fact, I'm gonna text her in a little bit. So I'm like, yo, we need some more episodes. But Autumn has a perfect voice. Who else? There's, and I don't want to start naming people because I know I'm gonna forget some people. But, like, sometimes, like, particularly for podcasters, your voice is everything. And, I don't know, like, my friends, they make fun. Oh, this is the 12 Kyle podcast, to hear, Baylor or King Germ from the Pod and Saved Our Marriage podcast, hear them mock my intro. I think it just sounds normal. I think I sound normal. I don't think I sound whack, but I don't think that there's anything special, about the voice. But I just think, like, we all have a certain sound. It took me a minute to find my sound, I'll be honest. And even now I'm still finding it because I kind of deal with the nasal sound. So now I'm okay. I'm comfortable with sounding nasally to me. Y'all might think I sound fine, but I think I sound a little nasally because my sinus has been bothering. And I try to record. I'll let y'all in on a little secret. I try to record when my sinuses aren't tripping. Sometimes, like, I even had an episode a couple of weeks ago. At the end of the episode, I thought I stopped recording, and you actually hear me blowing my nose at the end of the episode. But like, I'm big on sound. I'm big on voices. Like, obviously, growing up in hip hop, there were some voices that I really took to. You could look at people like, let's just say Chuck D, for instance. Chuck D has a very, from Public Enemy, Chuck D from Public Enemy has a very distinct voice. I mean, here it is, bam, and you say, God damn, this is a dope jam. I can't do it like Chuck, but you get the point. Very distinct voice. KRS-One, another one, very, very distinct voice. Obviously, Biggie. Who else? Snoop, very nasally, but very smooth. Pac had a very unique voice too, just to name a few. And one of the things I always, we would always talk about voices and sounds and stuff when I was in college. And I told my homeboy this, and I stand on this. Like there was a girl, I want to say we were freshmen. We came in together. I'm not going to say her name because I'm pretty sure she's going to hear this podcast. But she could have worked at, like, a sex call center. Like, she had the sexiest voice. But here's the thing that I told my homies. I'm like, most beautiful women don't sound beautiful, if there's such a thing. If you could sound beautiful, I was like, like, they don't sound, like, there's nothing magical about how they sound. Like, I think my wife is beautiful, but she sounds like a regular person. I should call her a regular person. But there's nothing magical about how her voice sounds. Like, if you heard her on the phone, you wouldn't be like, oh, she sounds fine, which is a misnomer that guys will say, myself included. I did say it back in the day. But no, just because you sound a certain way doesn't mean that but this girl in college, she sounded like she did phone sex for a living. And she didn't look like that. I mean, she was a decent looking girl, but she wasn't she wasn't like what she had portrayed. Like if you talked to her on the phone, you would be like gassed up, like ready to go see her, and then you see her, you're like, wait a minute, who are you? So, voices are just different. I'm one who is, like I said, just still trying to critique and tweak my voice, if you will. I don't like to record when I'm sick. You will almost never catch me recording if I'm sick. If I'm sick, I better have some podcasts, some episodes in the tuck, because if not, you won't get an episode. Because I don't like the way that sounds. And I made the mistake of one time recording while drinking. That's why you never see me drinking on I'll never go on my podcast or anybody else's podcast drinking. Because my words were slow. Here's the thing: I'm not much of a drinker, so I wasn't drunk, but I didn't like the way I sounded. So like, I'm very critical about how I sound. I need to sound a certain way, and if I hear myself and I don't sound like me, it's gonna be a problem. So I don't record. I don't drink and record. I don't obviously I don't smoke, but I try to make sure that my voice is, in a good space. I contemplated a couple of times recording outside because the weather's been nice here recently, but you got to deal with the pollen, and I don't want to be, even more stopped up because of the damn pollen. So, yeah, I just wanted to get on here and talk about voices. I mean, like, and for those of you who listen and watch, and if you think I have a nice voice, thank you. I mean, I appreciate the compliments. I don't see it. It just sounds just regular to me, but I'm glad that I've gotten to the point where I can actually listen to myself, because when I was in college, I ain't gonna lie, when I would hear myself, I would cringe. I was like, yo, why you sound like that? And I was trying to change my voice, but you can only sound how you sound. Like, your voice is your voice. Like, you can sing and sound a different way. You can't talk and sound a different way. You're gonna sound how you sound. Now, yeah, I could change my accent if I wanted to. I could make it sound real country like this right here. But I still sound like Kyle. So, at the end of the day, that should be enough. If it's enough for me, it's got to be enough for you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for checking out this bonus edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. I am your boy, 12 Kyle. Be sure to check out the 12 Kyle podcast. We drop new episodes every Sunday and every Thursday at midnight. Also, check out our new baby. It's called the Rap Soul Podcast. New episodes drop every Monday. We got all the hip hop, R&B, rap, soul music from the 80s, 90s, and the 2000s. It's the best music podcast that you've never heard. So check it out. You can check me out on all social media platforms at 12 Kyle, at 12 Kyle Podcast, excuse me. And last but not least, if you want to contribute to the show financially, hit us up on Cash App, $TWELVEKYLE. Also, we have merch. Click the description link in the box where it says merch, and you can buy 12 Kyle Podcast t-shirts, hoodies, as well as coffee mugs. We got it for the low. That's going to do it for me. I am your boy, 12 Kyle. I'll catch you guys next time. 5,000. Cheers.
Thanks again for listening to this episode of the 12 Kyle podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure that you hit the subscribe button and share this podcast with a friend who needs the 12 Kyle podcast in their life. Every listen, every download, and every share helps us grow. Thanks for being a part of the 12 Kyle podcast community. We appreciate your support. We will catch you next time. 5,000.